How would you describe your leadership style in 3 words?
Thoughtful, demanding, inspiring.
Says Violeta Luca, CEO of Vodafone in the Czech Republic. And how would you describe your leadership style in 3 words?
Inclusive, demanding, empowering.
Says Cristina Ferrari, Chief Underwriting Officer at VIG Re. And I'm Jaroslav Kramer, and welcome to Women Leaders Beyond Borders, a podcast series empowered by VIG Re. Ladies, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here. Both of you are very, very successful leaders beyond borders. And my first question goes towards this topic. Are you an expat by nature, or are you currently on a mission beyond borders? And I'll start with Cristina.
I would definitely take the first one, expat by nature. I grew up in Italy, studied there, started my career in Italy, but pretty soon I wanted to seek for an international experience. So after a master, I moved to Switzerland, where I had the chance to join one of the leader in the industry, my industry, the reinsurance industry. And that gave me the opportunity also within the company to move to Miami, where I spent some time there for the company, overseeing the Latin America business, came back to Zurich, and now here in Prague. So you tell.
This is really interesting because you've started your relocation at 2023 after very successful career. Do you think it was in some ways easier than, for example, Cristina, who started her big relocation process in 2014, or maybe a little bit more difficult? And then the same question for you, Cristina.
So I think it's very situational and personal, how it is for each individual. So I relocated in 2021, to be exact, for initially here. And it was, I think it was natural and also demanding because it was COVID time. And it was, when I moved here, actually everything was closed. And we were working from home. But I wanted to be in the country to be able to understand better the environment, the market, the customers, the partners. So basically, I would say maybe easier in terms of accepting expats and integrating and creating connections, relationships, and tougher in the same time because of the COVID restrictions.
So what about you, Cristina? Was it easy or hard to relocate in 2014, still starting your career?
There is an element clearly after a few times that you move and you change country that becomes kind of automatic, if you want. But I fully agree with you, Leta. There is an element of challenge that stays because in any case you are changing completely your dynamic, you're changing your rhythm, you're changing your environment. You enter into a complete new setup, a new culture, and you never know if you will fit or not, if you will find what you're expecting. So there is always an element of excitement, clearly, and energy and positive energy. But at the same time, there is an element of risk. And I think we cannot deny that risk is there. And there is also demanding to keep your roots, to keep your connection with your family, your beloved ones, your friends. That requires way more time, energy, and planning. That if you are around, obviously, it's way more spontaneous.
This is the question I asked in a previous podcast, but I asked this question at the very end of the podcast. So I'm sorry that I'm asking the question right now, but where is home for you, Cristina?
Everywhere where I have beloved ones with me. Honestly, my partner, my friends, my even university friends back in Italy, my family, my colleagues here. It's very, in each moment, there is a different sense of home.
Violeta?
I relate to what Cristina said. It's home where I have the loved ones. And it's home for me also where I have a sense of purpose, where I can contribute, where I can grow, and I can also support others.
I like that you talked about excitement, Cristina. Is there anything that excites you these days within your framework? Are you the person who wants and needs to be excited about new challenges, Violeta?
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially that I'm in my first few months of my new role here in Czech Republic, there is a lot of excitement, novelty, learning, initiating new things, new streams, working with my colleagues. So definitely there is excitement. And I believe as a personality, I have an energetic personality, and I also look for I'm very curious, therefore I ask questions, I read, I learn, and this opens new horizons and new opportunities, therefore more excitement. So I believe I am a person who creates excitement, but also who gets excited in different situations by working with people and pursuing new goals, new opportunities.
It's great that you can create opportunities for yourself. Is it something that you always knew, or is it something that you had to learn?
I think it's a bit innate, this one, but it also is developed because I have a saying, you make out of life what you make of it, So life is what you make of it. So it's our own choice.
So Cristina, I'm asking this question in Italian. So how about you and excitement on a daily basis?
Definitely a lot of excitement these days in VIG, so in my professional part of my life. We are undergoing an important transformation as a company, a digital transformation. And this is a huge energy booster for me. I have to say that there is a different level of nature of excitement, if you want. When you start in a new company, there is the so-called honeymoon, right, where everything is new and you're exploring and understanding and navigating, which is definitely an important energy source. But then there is the second phase for me, where there is the excitement of creating and having an impact and seeing things coming to life. Right, you're not anymore in the exploration, but you're also in the contribution and the creation phase.
The thing is that both of you are quite new at your new roles and jobs. Cristina, you are 1 year in Czech Republic. Yeah. After 14 years within one company, you've decided to do the big change.
Yeah.
And Violeta, you are CEO of Vodafone for 4 months now in Czech Republic. Do you have any tip how to start successfully, how to do day one on 100%? Violeta.
What works for me? And first of all, it's the mindset of being curious, listening, really listening, asking questions, be open-minded, being structured, because it's really important the way you invest the days of learning, how you structure your notes, different elements of understanding the business model. So you can maybe go back to them at some point. There is a lot of information which is coming your way, starting with the new colleagues, ways of working, the organizational design, customers, partners, investments, short-term, long-term. So there is a lot which is coming your way, and ability to being logical and structured is also very important. And then there is this level of being able to balance your energy and keep the excitement, because I met people, and also happened in my life, that you get the excitement is very high in the beginning, and then you hit some walls, and then you enter on a downward rather slope. So basically, in order to kind of not get there, my learning over the years is that it's important to balance your energy, and also to be mindful about how you feel, and also to be able to overcome some obstacles you may have.
So after almost 4 months, is your energy still 120%?
Yeah, it is. So I managed the slope, no slopes.
And was there any, even slight nervosity, if you will be able to win the people on day one? Because I know that at this moment you already won the people in Vodafone, but was there any kind of nervosity, how to approach it, how to make a good impact, influence on the first day?
So look, I think two things actually. First of all, I am who I am, and everyone else is taken. So this is one of my fundamental principles. So I came to Vodafone with a, open mind, full heart, but also being conscious I am who I am, and I need to not to try to be someone else just to win people or to pretend. So this is first one. And second one, it's, of course, there is nervosity in probably whenever you have a new beginning. If you have a certain sense of humbleness and not knowing it all, you may have a sense of maybe, questioning, being nervous and anxious. I don't know, depends on the personality. So I had a small dose of that. And in the same time, because I came with this, open heart and mind to this company and with all the good energy and best intentions, I realized that by building trust, by leveraging and capitalizing on the great people we have in the team, the foundation, which I found, which is solid, we can build on that and we can actually grow it. So, if you put the right elements in place, and then if you also ask questions, because also what I do along the way, I check in, how I call it, how do you feel? How do you feel with my style? Does it resonate? So it's one ability to kind of adjust, and it's the adaptability in the leadership, which you also need to factor in, and I'm using this, yes.
We're obviously writing a leadership guidebook right now. So Cristina, how was your day one at VIG Re 1 year ago?
It was very good, and I think the first thing that comes to my mind is the smile, right? I mean, to enter the organization, to enter the teams, and to approach people with a smile. I cannot but echo what Violeta said. I mean, you are normally, how can I say, you enter into an avalanche of information, right? So you need to be very structured, you need to be very mindful about how to approach the various topics, how to organize yourself. And what I found valuable for me was also to very consciously carve out time for dialogue with people from the very beginning. So push myself away from the tendency that I have to enter into reading and looking at the information and the data and the documents, and really carefully spend out the first few weeks really talking with people in the organization, asking a lot of questions, listening, and obviously it takes time to build a mutual trust and a mutual alignment, emotional also alignment. But then at a certain point, I think it's so crucial to be able to listen what is not spelled out, right? So to really be able to read between the lines what also the counterpart may not say straight.
You switched from really huge company to quite smaller. Why was that? And is it in any way challenging going from bigger to smaller?
Look, first of all, I will always cherish the years that I spent in Swiss Re, because it's a huge multinational organization and thought leader, excellent on multiple fronts in the industry. And also, while remaining in the same company, I had so many different opportunities to professionally expand my curriculum and my career path. At a certain point in time, however, I felt I want to have a different impact. I want to have an environment where decisions are taken in a more rapid and agile way. And I really consciously wanted to experiment a reality that was way smaller, because we are talking like from 14,000 to 150, right? So the change is big, and it was very conscious. And I have to add the role, obviously, the intellectual challenge in the role played an important part in the decision, but also the people, because I knew already some of the top managers in the company. They are very renowned people in the industry, and I know them personally and appreciated their ethical, the values, right? Their working ethics. And that for me is crucial, right? To feel comfortable that we are on the same page there.
Violeta, your change was quite opposite, from a smaller company to a bigger one, because I guess that Vodafone in Czechia has multiple times more employees than Microsoft. Is it correct?
So, yeah, altogether, yes. We are double size in Vodafone now than Microsoft. So 2,400 versus 1,200 something. My direct teams, yes, is much more bigger. If I'm reflecting on the size of the companies, Microsoft was bigger. And usually the operating model of Microsoft is like you have a kind of local role, but you are part of, let's say, international or let's say more regional type of missions. So I would say they are not comparable. They are quite different. And my motivation lied on the three areas. On the one hand, I wanted to have to exercise actually the general management role from a broader perspective. So in Microsoft was a more narrow scope because of the central model of Microsoft. So it has less functions and it has less scope in a way, while Vodafone has more decentralization and more autonomy and bigger footprint in countries. So this is something I was somehow missing from my years in e-commerce and in retail. And I was happy to find in Vodafone. Also, there was a technology component. So I felt that I can leverage actually my previous experiences to contribute to telco industry. And also it was a sense of maybe I can contribute to the telco industry from the perspective of perception and valuation in the market. Because in my view, you can't drive digitization and transformation without telcos. Technology is not enough. And actually what's happening in the world is that the telcos are undervaluated and somehow taken for granted, where technology companies are on a hype. But basically one without the other can't really prosper. And at least at this point, we don't connect with empathy. So basically we connect with networks, fixed or mobile or different other kinds. But basically I somehow felt that I can bring a different voice and a different perspective on what telco are contributing, and especially Vodafone is contributing to the world, to Czech Republic in particular, and then how actually it can enhance value and better lives in the end.
Speaking of transformation, and Cristina mentioned transformation too, are you the type of person who needs to understand every small aspect of the technological change, or is it something that's mission impossible? Violeta, are you the one who's always asking the question and needs to understand everything within the technology scope?
So look, I think maybe no one understands everything. So my scope is rather picking what I want to get deeper and then spending some time to understand the technology piece, but not the technology for the sake of technology, rather technology for the sake of solving a business challenge, society challenge, human beings challenge, really contributing to something. So I take the time on some aspects to understand. For instance, when Gen AI started to pick up, I really invested time speaking with different people, from technical people to data people, ethical and compliance people, lawyers, to understand deeper the aspects and the implications. And this was my choice because I felt it is important and it will play a very big role in our lives. While some other components of technology, I want to understand, let's say, the big picture and the connection with the business. But then obviously I rely on the experts.
Cristina, you have background in technology, so I expect that you would like to go deeper into the topic, or do you have it more similar to Violeta?
My background is in risk and risk assessment. So definitely I go deeper at that. Very similar approach. I try to pick the elements that of the technology that can bring either the bigger value for the business or for the organization specifically, or the highest risk. And then at that point, clearly, I'm interested and I need to get deeper. For the rest, there are experts that are way more equipped than me in doing that. And I would like to underline what we are undergoing at this moment. Technology is an instrument, right? Is an enabler. If an organization hasn't crystallized beforehand the values, the benefits, the capabilities that they want to get out of this technology transformation, it's a research and a testing and a development for the sake of it, completely unstructured and unorganized, right? So what we are doing currently in the company is really like thinking strategically, how do we want to operate in the future? What kind of capabilities do we want to get out? And how do we want to serve our clients? What are the benefits that our clients need to see out of our transformation? And then the technology element will kick in.
Would you prefer to invest into people or technology, Cristina?
This is not a question for me. There is not an either or. I was 2 weeks ago in London at the InsurTech Insights conference, 6,000 people participating, all tech, providers and so on. And I never heard in any of the meetings or in any of the presentation and the keynote speak that there is tech or people. There is always, an interaction. There is always a collaborative setup, and there is always, again, the tech as an instrument to enable people to be more not only efficient but effective in what they are doing, right?
Well, I didn't expect any other answer, and I don't expect Violeta to give me any other, but still I will ask, would you prefer to invest into people or technology?
We are living in the era of and, it's people and technology, depending on purpose, more intensity in people, sometimes more intensity in technology, some other times is not about or, in my view as well. And I totally resonate with the technology as an instrument. So serving a purpose, solving a need, solving a problem, addressing an opportunity. So,
Cristina, when we prepared this podcast, you told me that people are main drive for you, but it wasn't always during your career. So how different is Cristina at the beginning of her career towards people and now? Is it a big change?
Don't get me wrong. I don't know if I gave you a bit of a weird impression of myself at the beginning of my career, but it's a fair statement that you're making. I think at the start of my career path, obviously I loved to collaborate and operate with smart and kind and open people. But the focus there was more on building up my knowledge and strengthening my capabilities, my competencies, and broadening up my horizon on the business front and on the technical front. And clearly, along the journey, you see how big and how bigger the relevance of people you are collaborating with, people you are serving, and people you are working for comes. So I found myself in an unpleasant situation along my journey where I was simply not in sync in terms of values, fundamental values, with my manager. And then obviously we mutually gave it a try and to find a common landing. But you also have to acknowledge that if the difference is too profound, just the relationship doesn't work, right? And you have to take a conscious decision to take a different path, right? And as I mentioned before, one of the fundamental criteria for me in the change and in the selection of VIG was that I knew people that I had a very high esteem of.
Did you have any similar experience during your career, or were you always, let's say, in sync and lucky enough to be in sync with the values, etc.?
Most of the time, yes, I was fortunate enough to work with people I was in sync. And there were situations in which I wasn't. And when this happened, I did firstly the steps of overly communicating about this and trying to calibrate and to understand, because sometimes it's about kind of misunderstandings or maybe not enough calibration between one person and the other. And in some situations, this talk and these discussions actually solved a disconnect or a misalignment in ways of working, values maybe. And in some other situation, it didn't. And when it didn't, actually, I chose to move on. So, it's life choices actually, which you do consciously. And the more you grow, the more mature you become as a professional and also as a human being. I think the self-awareness and also the ability to distinguish between what you want and what you don't want actually becomes very important, because in the end, time is finite and you can't do everything you want. You can do anything you want, but not everything. So it's important to have this level of awareness and be able to act on it.
I guess that both of you can tell what is good and bad technology. For example, when you are trying to do something new, that you somehow know how to tell what is good and what is bad in the technology segment. But with people, with coworkers, can you tell who is a bad type of coworker and who is really good type of coworker? What suits you? What suits your leadership style, Cristina? If I want to be the best coworker you've ever had, what should I do? And if I want to be the worst one, what should I do?
Look, first of all, mutual respect, right? Mutual respect and openness in the communication and transparent communication. That for me is a fundamental criteria, because that is what ultimately builds the trust. And also the understanding when there are critical discussion or a difficult situation that we are talking about the situation. We are talking not about the people and us as people. I'm very happy to collaborate. Actually, I'm seeking to collaborate with people that are very different from me, that they have a very different style, because I'm a true believer that that diversity of mindset, of approaching things, create a lot of value for the organization, but also for the people involved. There is not a one-size-fits-all. But clearly the willingness to do something good, right? And the willingness to go in the same direction for the greater good. This is something that I'm looking for in people collaborating with me.
Okay, Violeta, the good side, and then we will talk about something that's on the other spectrum.
So look, I became manager first time in December 2000, and I had 40 people in my team. So all of them older than me, very different backgrounds, walks of life. And I remember I was wondering, okay, how can I make this work? And I think becoming a manager, it comes with the responsibility beyond delivering whatever commercial goals you have or kind of function goals you have. It comes the responsibility of growing the people, making it work, modeling the right behavior, coaching for growth, but also caring for the people. And not caring in the sense of becoming the couch of the people where they say all their sorrows and they complain, but rather the caring in the sense of understanding when the person needs more or less from you, where it needs guidance and so on. So coming to your question, I personally work well with many personalities and profiles of people. I am adaptive as style, and also I like diversity because I believe that this is enriching our lives and me personally. It's harder to say what I prefer better. I think I prefer people who are willing to make a difference in their field. And by that, I mean creating something, doing something in operation which is brilliant, serving the customer in the best way, having a solution-oriented mindset, being open, transparent, honest about stuff, because only then you can really solve things. High sense of integrity. These are the qualities, the traits I am appreciating. What I do not tolerate lie and misbehaviors and misrespect. These are for me behaviors which are not negotiable. And I strongly believe that a culture in the company is given really by the things you do not tolerate. So the behaviors, you are not really letting them happen in the company. So other than that, I think there is a beauty in the life that you can work with many types of people and be successful.
Couldn't agree more. I think the fundamental of the integrity, if you see that is a slippery road for somebody, that is a no tolerance in my view on certain behaviors. It's absolutely impossible to go that road. What I don't appreciate in people, as myself, I'm very much solution oriented and can-do attitude, is not taking ownership. Where people are not taking the accountability and the responsibility for their deliverables. This is really challenging for me. And equally, I appreciate curiosity. So I appreciate that people are seeking to learn, to understand better, to improve. And when I see that is lacking, it's highly frustrating.
Ladies, is it necessary on your position to sometimes show vulnerability, that maybe you don't know something, you don't feel comfortable in some situation, Violeta?
So look, I'm a fan of authentic leadership. So probably it's almost virtually impossible to know everything every time. And this is why we have teams of people, so we can become better as a team, not necessarily as individuals all the time. So yes, I think I show vulnerabilities sometimes, not out of necessity, but rather out of, my kind of authentic style. And also because I want to role model a type of transparency and honesty in the way you lead people, in the way you drive interactions. Of course, I am mindful. I don't go to complain about my things or because this is unprofessional. It's really about sometimes, being able to say, I don't know or I need help. This can be a sense of vulnerability. In the same time, for me, it's a sense of power, being powerful, being able to say this, seek for advice, support, guidance, whatever, and then you take it from there and you go over it or through it. So
I wanted to ask what on the other side can be your superpower. So maybe this is also your superpower.
Yeah, probably. And on top of this, my superpowers are around, building trust, going after solutions, seeing opportunities. These are I am using them consciously and unconsciously, probably.
Cristina, same question.
Well, I think superpowers. What was the first question?
The first one was vulnerability.
Absolutely,
okay,
absolutely. Simply because it's we want to lead by example, right? So if I'm seeking to, as I am, to build that mutual trust, and to be sure that people in my team and people collaborating with me feel in a safe space in talking to me, I have to, in the first place, right? And I want, in the first place, to demonstrate that safe space environment. I think that the time of the Superman and Superwoman as a leader, it's a long time gone, right? And it's demonstrated also by literature that is simply not successful in the long run. On the other side, if we think about my, let's call it superpower, I would say the resilience. So picking yourself up again when there are difficulties and stay committed and drive yourself and the team forward, and the continuous willingness to improve.
Key topic for the upcoming generation is purpose. Why do I do this? Why should I spend so many hours at work, etc.? We've kind of talked about your personal purpose, but what kind of purpose do you see for your colleagues to be at the same environment with you, to be in the same area, same company? How would you explain to them that it has a purpose? Violeta.
I'm happy that people are motivated by purpose. I think this came with, let's say, younger generations more pregnantly, but I think this is actually helping everyone because we are living in a multi-generational environment right now. And this purpose, I'm seeing it with all the, different generations, not only with the younger ones. And how I connect with it. First of all, we are part of a corporation which has a purpose as a company. And I'm trying to seek how we can connect our work in Czech Republic with the purpose of the company, like internationally, globally, and to do it in a way which doesn't sound artificial. So Vodafone purpose is we connect for a better future. And how we depicted this one to our colleagues and how we kind of substantiated, and we had a couple of workshops quite recently to discuss about this. In the end, fundamentally, many of us, if not all of us, we want to contribute for better lives, for better future, for better impact, for positive impact in the environment we are working on. And we kind of connected the dots the following. We aim to be loved by customers, connect for a better future, and inspire growth in Czech Republic, for both consumers and companies. And the reason we added inspire growth, which we had a big debate around that, it's because we realized that in Czech Republic, people are seeking to enrich their lives in terms of living a healthier life, learning more, supporting better their kids or parents or family, and they use technology actually to do so. And also because if you look at the business space, business to business space, you have small business, medium businesses, which are trying to serve more customers, expand beyond the borders, bring innovation. So, and also technology can play a part. It's not the only one, but it can play a part. So this is why we said, we want to be loved by customers because this means that you need to bring your best every day to serve the best your customers, to put yourself in the customer's shoes, to try to seek solutions, to offer feedback, to contribute to this improvement. And then this actually has a positive impact for for you personally, for people around you and broader society.
But it also means hard work. Is it okay to say it out loud?
Yes, and I said it. It can also mean that you work smarter, more productively. I am not shy to recognize it. Everywhere I go, I want to double the growth. I want to go to accelerated growth. And I did it all my 24 years of career. And yes, it was hard work for me in the beginning, maybe some tougher moments. But I think the trick and the magic is to find the right way to do it, which can mean in the end more efficient utilization of resources. And you can actually do more with less if you find the right mix.
Great. In a couple of years, I will happily invite you to my company. Cristina, what about purpose in reinsurance world? It looks quite difficult to explain, so I hope that you will explain it to me.
Let's try. Reinsurance, we are insuring the big insurance company in the world, right? In the financial sector, the insurance company are not the last piece of the chain. There is something more, and there is reinsurance. Insurance company cannot retain the full risk for financial reason and capital reason, so they they seek the support of us as reinsurers. And I see very clearly the role of reinsurance in the society, which is enabling resilience when you have a major catastrophe event, when you have critical accidents, when you have fatalities, right? So the insurance has still some way to go in a way of positioning their purpose and their the value as an industry, but there is a fundamental benefit of that the industry is bringing to society in enabling picking up again, right? Indeed, in a word, resilience. So people are collaborating with me, people that are working in the company. I mean, they have that as at the core, right? The industry purpose is the starting point. And then there is, how do I contribute to it? So that they can see, and me as a leader, I have clearly the duty also to enable that. The initiatives that they are in, the projects that they are working on, how they directly contribute to the strategy of the company and to the ultimate purpose.
We have only a couple of minutes left, so I try to pick two of my most favorite questions. The first one is, with your work ethic and how you approach new tasks and challenges, are you a good example to your colleagues? For example, how many hours you spend with your computer or cell phone? How many nights are you thinking about new challenges? Are you a good example for your colleagues? Cristina.
There are several dimensions to it, right? You pointed exactly to the work-life balance, which is indeed a challenge, right? Even if I talk personally, it's a very important aspect of my life. It changed also during my career, and I'm way more mindful at the moment in securing that work-life balance and also having those free space for me to think, for me to recharge, re-energize, also for the benefit of the team and the company. But there are other dimensions, for example, how I think about problems and opportunities. The capabilities that, I built during my career to decompose complex problems, seeing interdependencies, stimulating collaboration and lateral thinking across different groups and not working in silos. In that, I think I can be a bit of an example.
In that, okay. Thank you, Violeta.
Look, two dimensions from my side. First of all, I redefined work-life balance and work-life integration for me. I feel life is a continuum in which you are kind of integrating your professional life with your personal life. So this worked for me pretty well. And also I mix this with self-awareness by, reading the signals coming from my body, if I am too tired or maybe not, reading the signals from my family, if I spend time with them, so being aware of my surroundings. And sometimes, if you spend longer evenings in the office, 2-3 days, maybe the fourth day I'm aware is not good and we need to go out. And I'm aware of this kind of consciously. And then also being aware at the office, how the energy is, and usually, for instance, if we have a situation in which we need to work over the weekend, for instance, for some reason, then I naturally say to my people, look, Friday, if you want, and you can't finish earlier because we worked longer this week and I feel it and probably you feel it too. So I don't mind combining the things because it's not one size fits all. And also I invite people to reflect their own needs. Okay, within companies' boundaries, being ethical, being fair, because we can't, sometimes we have a tendency as managers to put work and load to the people who are carrying the most. And this is very unfair and very unbalanced. So basically, being able to have this consciousness and programmatic approach, intentional approach. I strive to be a role model. If I am or not, I think we should ask them. So
Well, it's really interesting because people sometimes don't understand that as a top manager, you have to give a lot of energy to your team too. Because if the team has low energy, you have to boost them. So it's not always, that you are getting the energy. And the last question is going back to roots of this podcast, Women Leaders Beyond Borders. Is there something Italian, Romanian that you are trying to keep all the time with you, within yourself, something that you feel is really important part of your personality? And let's start with Violeta.
So look, there is Romanians are very ambitious and welcoming as nature. So they are willing to go for big dreams, for big goals, work hard for them. And they are also very welcoming and supportive and somehow smiling and being positive as a spirit. Most of my connationals are like this. I am like this too. So I want to keep this because this gives me energy, gives me strength, and gives me connection. And I am proud to be Romanian. And I was asked just the other day if I will come back at some point. And of course, I considered this to go back at some point in time and actually give back to society what I learned, both when I worked in Romania and abroad.
And what about your gymnastics background? Is it also something that you are trying to have within yourself? Because it's very hard to do this right, and you were very successful, right?
I was successful as a kid, but then I dropped it. So I didn't manage to go to performance or something, to more like some kind of league of gymnastics. I stopped to the happiness of my father, actually, because he said, you can finally do something serious, basically. So these were his words. I was young, but I remember. So look, the gymnastics part, it's about being disciplined and being resilient, and don't expect to win easy. I think this is something which I'm sometimes telling to my teams, that the harder I train myself, the luckier I get, So I really believe this is valid in business as well. And I personally apply this. So it's it's a good call out. Thank you.
Cristina, with you, what's Italian and also what's Swiss? Because you've been many years in Zurich. So probably you have also something Swiss.
I think so. So from the Italian part, I would say the sense of family, certainly, and belonging to the family. No need to say, the pleasure of food, I need to. But also, jokes aside, also the capability, I think, that Italians have to, despite difficulties, to figure it out in a way or another, to make it work. And from the Swiss part, I think it's really the diligence, in a way, the sense of order and the structure.
Ladies, thank you very much for this very interesting session. Best of luck with all challenges that you'll be facing. Thank you very much, Cristina Ferrari.
Thank you.
And Violeta Luca.
Thank you, Jaroslav. It was a pleasure.